Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dating and Relating Real Connection. My name is Gabby, your host, certified integrative and wellness life coach for Wellness for Us LLC. Today's topic is toxic relationships. But before we get there, I want to introduce to you my guest, Mr. Thomas. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey, my name's Travis. I've been in the military about 7, 8 years. I'm currently working in private security and I'm going to school for criminal justice.
Yeah, tell me how long you know each other.
About a year. Yeah.
Yeah, been a really good year. So just before we get to the topic for today, let's talk about our challenges from last week. So it was based on confidence and insecurities, and mine kind of lumped together. So I'm just going to talk to you about them. So something that I'm confident about definitely is my physical appearance. I mean, I work hard every day, so I'm working out. So definitely something I'm confident about. I like working out with friends too as well. But with that, it also ties into my security, which I'm definitely insecure about my personality. Say that it's not leveling up with how I feel confident about my body. So the guy that I'm currently dating right now, I expressed that to him, saying that I don't know if you like me for me, or if it's just my body that you like. So we actually had that conversation. It turns out he appreciates me for who I am, the whole me. So I was very happy about that. So moving on to our topic for today, toxic relationships. I mean, usually we're focused on building and connecting and relating to people, but today, it's really important to talk about those things that are toxic in our lives if we really want to help ourselves and the people around us. So starting off with the first question today is going to be, Travis, what do you define as a toxic relationship?
Ooh. Oh, that's a broad question. I'd have to say in short, what I would define as a toxic relationship would be anything that majorly detracts from your happiness. Like that could be from any type of relationship. It could be from relationships with friends, families, coworkers, could be anybody. But basically any situation where you find yourself constantly compromising who you are or apologizing who you are for who you are. Or it could be simply a situation between like two friends or lovers where you care deeply for each other, but it doesn't necessarily work. So I think that a toxic relationship is, in short, anything that takes majorly from your happiness. And I think, and when you're in those situations, you have to reevaluate what you're doing. Yeah.
Yep. Simply put, a relationship that has more negative moments than positive experiences.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I guess the next question would be, tell me about like an experience that you had with a toxic relationship.
I had like a bunch of stories. Man. I don't throw nobody under the bus. Okay.
No shade, no shade.
Give me a second. I have to think about this. I have to like properly like articulate this in a way that's
That's okay. Take your time, baby. Take your time.
Okay, I have to say a toxic relationship. A prime example. I was dating this person around 2012ish. We were both in a place where we didn't have many friends, and we were just looking for commonality, somewhere with someone we could confide in and get to know each other. And in that way, it was a toxic relationship because I was, at the time when it came to dating, I was very open-minded and a loving person, and I didn't, like in one of your previous talks about being vulnerable, I didn't have any like hang-ups with being vulnerable. I was very vulnerable and open at the time when I initially started dating, and this person, he had been like received a lot of bad experiences with dating, kind of damaged. So going into meeting this person, we were constantly in conflict with each other. We argued a lot just because, for the sake of that person, they just like to argue and they like to disagree. And even though I knew realistically it wasn't conducive for dating or getting to know a person, I continued to explore what might have happened. And eventually it just came to the point where I had to say to myself, this isn't what I want. It's not how I would normally operate when it comes to dealing with people. So it's just best to let it go. I have a bunch of stories I can give you. Like, if you want, I give you stories all day.
Go ahead, throw in another one. I feel like you got more.
Man.
I feel like you got more. Go ahead, throw in another.
Let me see.
Let's talk about a relationship that wasn't like a romantic one.
A romantic one? Not a romantic one?
Yes.
I had this. We'll say like there was this one friend that I would often go out of my way to get to know and hang out with, but the person would also constantly flake on me, would make excuses for why they couldn't hang out. I would, make plans to hang out with this person, and they would show up like an hour and a half late. They would ghost on me, and eventually it got to the point where I felt like I was putting more effort into the friendship than the other person was. To me, the other person, they were just kind of like, I can take or leave you. They didn't say that, but their actions clearly displayed that. So it got to a point where I had to say, there's a million people, there's tons of people on this planet. It's not like I have to be friends with this one person, and it's obviously not making me happy because punctuality and being on time is important to me, and I'm not a big fan of wasting other people's time, and I don't like my time wasted. So I just got to the point where I was like, maybe it's just best if we're like friends from a distance. So, yeah.
I don't want to waste your time while he's down there on her time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing you can't get back in life.
That's
Time.
true. I agree with that 100%. But I guess my experience more so relates to like romantic one, and it just was just toxic because I lost myself in it. I focused so much on trying to be that person for the one that I was with that I lost who I was as a person. So I had to focus on like really defining who I am because I had no idea after coming out of a relationship. But I feel like that's what a lot of people do. I'm not just saying that's what women do either, but it's just getting into a relationship, you think about yourself as a whole, like a team or just one item. You're not focusing on, who you are separate from them.
Exactly.
So that's completely, I consider
Get
that
caught
to be
up.
toxic.
It'd be
you
hard
do.
sometimes. I get it.
Really good. Okay, so last question that I would have would be, how do you avoid toxic relationships or people?
Avoid toxic relationships. I would say from my personal experience is listen to your gut instinct and pay attention to the details. I think a lot of times when people are like in any situation, whether it be friends or dating or relationships, like I said before, I think a lot of times when we meet people, we notice things that stand out to us, but we have a tendency because of either the newness of their interaction or the relationship, we have a tendency to glaze over it, or we make excuses for people's behavior when we know that if it had been a different situation, or if we were given our own self advice from an objective perspective, we'd have said that you shouldn't deal with this person, or hey, this might be a sign that maybe this might not be the best relationship for you. And also acknowledging when you're so incompatible in regards to your interactions that it's not healthy for you to cohabitate the same space. I mean, just because someone likes people or you like to get to know people doesn't mean you have to be friends with everyone or you have to be in a relationship with everyone. And I think also just being honest with yourself. I think a lot of times we as people are like, when we have that, when we meet somebody and we develop a type of bond, whether it be over a long term or short term, we have that habit of we have to make it work, or it's going to be the end of the world if this doesn't work out. I think we have to sometimes take a step back and realize that it doesn't always necessarily, this situation doesn't always have to necessarily be for us, and just we have to be honest with ourselves and say that even though I may love this person or I may not particularly care for this person, that I need to be honest with myself and say that it's not the best for me or it's not the best for the other person. I mean, sometimes the relationship could be toxic for one person and not the other. Like one person could be completely benefiting whereas the other person could be unhappy. So I think honesty is the most important thing, just having that willingness to be comfortable with having clarity that you didn't want to face before.
True.
Yeah.
It's all about not being afraid to let go, because some people are coming to your life for one specific reason, one specific time period. Maybe you was meant to learn a lesson from then, and they're not meant to be in your life.
Yeah, and then I think sometimes when it comes to dealing with people, I think sometimes we want to build relationships with people, and it's not to say that if you don't build a relationship with that person or people at that point in time that it's the end of the world or that you'll never be friends. Sometimes that some people have to grow or you have to grow, or maybe both of you have to change, and then at a later point in time it may be meant for you to build a better relationship, or it may not just meant to be. It may not have meant to be or been in the cards for you. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's not the end of the world. Like I said before, there's too many people in the world to build relationships to where you have to feel like it has to be this specific situation or relationship. I think if we take ourselves and life less seriously when it comes to that, it gives us a little bit more clarity. Definitely. And don't overthink it.
So I guess for the challenge of the day is going to be addressing those that you think may have, toxic relationships in your life. So having that conversation with them, if it's something that you need to continue to work on, addressing those issues, or if you simply just need to cut that person out your life. So, why are you laughing? Don't laugh. Don't laugh. It may need to happen.
No, I agree with you. I've had to do it a couple times. I'm definitely don't have a problem with cutting people out. So, preach to the choir.
So on that note, I just want to say thank y'all so much for watching. Again, you could email me at gcprice@wellnessforus.com. Follow me, Real Connections GP, or simply just comment below. Hope y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Bye.